We begin here, progress in the years-long effort to reform the state civil asset forfeiture process. So yesterday, a reform bill in the House passed with unanimous support. The Senate also passed its own version. This deals with law enforcement's ability to take property that they believe to have obtained through illegal means before someone is charged or convicted with a crime. 12 News reporter Sean Logging taking a look at why there's a push for this reform and the changes it would make. Sean?
Mike, these bills are hefty and pretty involved, and it would go a long way to making reform to the practice of civil asset forfeiture, which has faced scrutiny. Speaking with one of the lawmakers who introduced this bill in the House, he tells me it's about finding a balance between individual property rights and the rights of law enforcement. A long time coming.
About 8 years of trying to find compromise on this legislation.
The Kansas House and Senate are moving bills forward with civil asset forfeiture reform. Representative Stephen Owens introduced the bill in the House.
It's unfortunate that we have seen some agencies, and by all means not the majority, but some agencies, that there's documented proof of taking advantage of this process. And so by raising these standards on all of these different areas, it increases that burden of proof and further protects the individual.
The House and Senate bills share a lot of similarities, although some additional provisions exist in the Senate version. They're based on recommendations following a 2023 study by the Kansas Judicial Council. These are changes groups like the Kansas Justice Institute want to see.
The deck is really kind of stacked in favor of the government and against Kansans. It's very complex, it's hard. It takes a long time.
Some of the proposed changes include removing small-level drug possession offenses from those allowing for forfeiture. Law enforcement would also have 14 days instead of 45 to request forfeiture.
One of the best features of the forfeiture reforms is the changing of the level of proof that the government's going to have to meet in order to take someone's property. Before, it was a very low standard of proof.
The bills would also make changes to the court process, including putting a hold on civil cases to get property back if there's a criminal case proceeding. And if someone gets at least half of their property back, the law enforcement agency would be responsible for the court and legal costs. That is an area where law enforcement groups have pushed back on the bills.
Many of them even said we're 99% in support of this bill. That is truly significant in exactly how our system should work.
The Senate version of this bill also has the ability to request a jury trial when trying to get your property back. Now, the next step is for the House and Senate to work out the differences between the respective bills before it needs to go to a final vote in both chambers.
Sean, how often does this happen? Do we know how much law enforcement seizes?
Mike, that report last year from the Kansas Judicial Council put the finding at about $23 million in property and cash that was seized by law enforcement between July of 2019 and November of 2023. About 24% of that was returned to the owner, and on average, that process took 249 days.
Sean, thank you. A lot to break down, so thank you for that.